teacher?
I'm not sure that it was a conscious ambition to become a head teacher. I think that I simply took on roles as I went through my career, took on new roles and thought, well, if they can do it, then I think I could probably do it. So I gradually took on responsibilities as head of department, of tutor in charge of higher education, a senior tutor role, a head of sixth form role, all sorts of various what we might call management roles in schools, deputy head, and then I had to make a decision, do I want to stay as deputy head or did I want to try and be a head? By that stage I was quite old anyway, relatively. I wasn't a very young and thrusting head candidate, and so I applied for various positions as head teacher, and Bootham was the one that came up. So not a great planned career, but just sort of floating to the top like scum, probably, I think.
What has been your favourite moment or part of Bootham so far?
Oh, favourite moment at Bootham, that's really difficult, isn't it? And I will have to look through as I come up to retirement. I imagine I shall have to talk about some things like this. I do remember the time when two students on one of our dress-up days had dressed up as Graham Ralph, who was the deputy head, and me, and they were standing inside the hall as if to welcome people to morning meeting, and Graham and I said, okay, you go and take the meeting then, and walked upstairs. And the two kids who one had got a bald head, device to make him look bald because Graham Ralph was bald. So we called their bluff and they went in and they had to run the meeting. That was very funny, I thought.
And what has been your least favourite part of Bootham?
Least favourite part. There are lots of sad things that have happened with individual students or individual members of staff, and there have been tragedies. Ed D'Annunzio's death, for example, was a huge blow to the school, but there have been other smaller, more private things that you get to deal with as head that are very difficult and do stay with you for a long time.
Okay. What was Bootham first like when you came here?
What was Bootham like when I came here? Physically speaking, the buildings were very run down and scruffy. They looked very tired. There was a description of them at the time that we were shabby chic as a school, and although shabby chic was quite a nice thing to be, it was apparent that some work needed to be done, and a prep school head visiting early on in my time said, there's not much going on at this school, is there? And I thought, well, that's a bit rude. But we had to do quite a lot of work on the physical site, on the buildings and so on. The students, the staff, may I say, were really eager for change, were really eager to help from the very beginning. And I thought, when I arrived, I thought this was a very professional group of staff. I was really impressed with them as teachers. I thought they were great. So there was the capacity to develop and to grow, I thought, from the very beginning. The students, interestingly, I expelled about half a dozen students in my first year. I don't think we've really expelled very many people since. I mean, one or two. But the first year there was a real bunch of difficult boys, particularly in year 9 it was in those days. So we had to do a bit of clearing out, which is interesting looking back. Yeah.
What is your favourite book of all time and why?
My favourite book of all time, this is a really difficult question. If I had to plump for one, I think it would be Our Mutual Friend by Charles Dickens. Why? Well, I got familiar with it when we were having to teach it when I was teaching in the sixth form college years ago, and we talked about it an awful lot as an English department, really got to know the book very well, and indeed one of my colleagues even converted it into a play. So that is something that has stayed with me from that time. But really, there are lots of books, aren't there? You know, huge number of books to explore, and I wouldn't want to pin my faith on one book really.
What is your favourite house and why? So, like,
Schoolhouse.
Yeah, schoolhouse.
I am not a member of any of the schoolhouses for kind of obvious reasons. I have to be like the Queen and have to be above politics of that kind. So I have never been in a schoolhouse, and I couldn't possibly have a favourite.
Okay.
Yeah. What is your opinion on the outdoor gym and the outdoor lockers?
Yeah, outdoor gym, fantastic. But I haven't been on it yet. I really must. I'm sorry. That's remiss of me. I kept saying I will go over, but well, not today because it's pouring with rain. So the outdoor gym, any opportunity to get kids and staff active and fit must be a good thing. So that has my vote. The outdoor lockers, I think I can say I was very much in favour of the outdoor lockers from the beginning, simply for this reason. If we move the lockers outdoors, it means we have more space indoors. And we're on a very tight city centre site. The social space available to the students is minimal. Locker rooms where you squash a lot of lockers into a small room are always difficult places. So if we can move the lockers outside and we can have social space instead in those rooms, then that seems to me to be a good thing. And we saw outdoor lockers used at a couple of other schools I visited, and I thought, well, if they do it, why can't we?
How do you help people who need a little bit more help with like education and that sort?
Really important. We all need a little bit more help, don't we, in one way or another. Even the most talented, even the most academic will probably need help in some other area of their lives. So we shouldn't think in terms of a group of people needing more help. We should think of how we give help to individual students at whatever their abilities, so that we will give opportunities for people who are more able or interested in things, and we will have a support mechanism within school for people with learning differences who need more support with their writing of essays or study skills or whatever. But it's really important, I think, that we see everybody as individual students, not as a group needing special consideration.
Yeah.
And I think we've had some really good teachers involved on that side as heading up the learning support team, and I think our current learning support provision is as good as we've had in the school in my time, and they have quite a difficult job feeding out techniques to all the subject teachers and so on, and I think they do that really well.
If there's anything you could change about Bootham or your experience here, what would it be?
Well, I'd get rid of all the students, get rid of most of the staff, and I would sit in my office being served coffee with biscuits every day. I think that would be all right, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Good.
Apart from the getting rid of students.
You mean you like being here?
Yeah. Some days, not Saturdays.
Some days, not Saturdays.
Also, if you had the choice, would you remove Saturday school?
Would I remove Saturday school? Really good question. We talked about this when I first arrived in the school, and then we've said, well, let's not discuss that anymore because we made the decision. And I have made it absolutely clear to Chris Jeffrey when he comes in September that is on his agenda, and it's not on my agenda. So again, I will not answer the question directly because I don't think it's for me to say. It'll be for Chris and everybody else in the school to argue. I will say that we took a long time over the decision in 2005, I suppose it was, and as we took a long time over the decision, so it was interesting to see how people's views changed, actually, about it, and it's a pain. It's difficult. We don't like getting up on Saturday morning. It blocks up the weekend. But there are also lots of things that we do on a Saturday that we couldn't do if we didn't have Saturday school. So it's a big discussion to be had, and good luck to Chris to have that discussion. I think.
Are you looking forward to your retirement? And would you mind saying some things you're planning to do?
Yes, I'm trying not to look forward to my retirement because that makes it look as though I'm keen to get away from Bootham, and actually I've enjoyed nearly every moment of my time at Bootham, and I want to keep on enjoying it until the end of the summer. When I retire, I have to move because I lose my school house. That's quite tough, because usually when you retire you will have established a network of friends and so on in your neighbourhood, and you will simply stay there. You simply won't go to work. Well, I have to move, and I've made the decision that we will move out of the neighbourhood so that the new head has a free run at things and I'm not hovering around. So we're going to go to Cornwall, where we have a holiday house and where my side of the family come from for generations. And in Cornwall I have a boat where I hope to do some sailing. I think we shall be spending quite a lot of time building an extension to our house, because we've got a little holiday cottage down there that isn't really big enough to live in. So we've planned an extension, and we will probably have to build it for the first year. So I shall have lots to keep me occupied.
Will you miss us?
Will I miss you? Will you miss me?
Yes.
Yes, I will miss you. Of course I will miss you very much.
Thank you for your time, Jim.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.